Hey everybody, Kevin here, My Game 595 and No Money Productions. Have you ever had one of those loyal computers sitting around the house that's giving you great service, and then lo and behold one day you turn it on and it's giving you that blue screen of death? You need that computer, but don't throw that away just yet, because what I'm going to do is show you how to bring that thing back to life and save you money at the same time. So sit back, relax, and let's get into this. This old PC again is 10 years old. It came in not working, blue screen of death. I did my initial tests on it. The motherboard is good, the power supply is good, of course the disk drive is good, the harness is in good shape, the wires are still plenty flexible, the RAM is good, but the issue in this case for this computer was a failed processor. So this is an AMD processor. We're not going to go back with that. We're going to swap this out with some new technology. I'm putting back an MSI H110M gaming board. I'm going to install a multi-card reader and 3 USB 3.0 super speed ports in the front to do away with their 2.0s. It's going to have Realtek surround sound 7.1 audio. Of course, it'll be in the rear, and we're going to do away with the front audio ports. We're upgrading to an i5 Intel 6th Gen processor. It's going to be 8 gigs of DDR4 2133 megahertz Corsair RAM. The new OS Windows 10 64-bit system on a Kingston 256 gig solid state. And they're going to have 2 WD backup drives, one for storage, one for system backup. And all this is going to be packed into this little tower that would otherwise be thrown away, discarded, because it didn't work anymore. To get anything close to what I'm going to build back in this form factor would run you a little over $1,000, and that's with a couple of years of warranty at Best Buy, taxes and everything. But I'm going to do this for right around $500, roughly half the price. So I know that's intriguing to a lot of people, so let's get into showing you the build. So we're going to set this aside, and I'm going to start showing you all the components that I've purchased. Alright everybody, we are now looking at the original motherboard that I removed from the tower. I took it out so I could examine the back side of it for burns. Usually you'll find signs of burning on the back, in my experience, quicker than the front. Upon turning this over, I found my problem, my failure. It's kind of a weird failure in the sense that the BIOS still loads up, but this onboard chipset here is completely burnt up. I mean, the back of the board's got 1.5 inches diameter. It's just dark brown. And then, upon further examination, we just luckily caught a glare of this and noticed that there's a tiny little stain that runs down this board. And it's a liquid of sorts. It pooled right here at the top of the board, and it runs just like my finger's trailing here. And then it pooled right here. So it hit all these contacts, all these bus lines. It went right along the lines that feed the onboard chipset. So I'm not sure if that initiated the burning, but I'm pretty sure they're related. So that's good. We know the problem for sure now. It's being replaced with the MSI H110M gaming. This is a micro ATX motherboard. If you go to MSI's website, just msi.com USA, type in H110M and then look for the gaming version. The H110M refers to the onboard chipset made by Intel. It's the Intel's Core H110M for motherboard. It is equipped with a UEFI versus the legacy BIOS. This is going to be a workstation, so it may seem like overkill to you all, but if you have any experience in it. But the reason I purchased this for them is because they need a certain level of peripheral equipment. One being the SD card, multi-card reader, and the additional USB ports. And the one that I sourced out to put in this machine required certain connections, and when it comes to these smaller boards, you're limited. This one is the only one I could find. It has the 4-pin power connector for the CPU. That's what this power supply offers. It has my USB 320 pin, and it has enough USB connectors for the front panel. This just happened to be the one that fit the bill for this build. Now, to power this board is going to be the 6th gen Intel Core i5 6500 processor. Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 2133 megahertz. I'm a fan of Corsair. I've had good experience with them. I've not experienced any failures, so I stick with what I know. I think anyone can agree Corsair is a good product. The reason I went with the 2133 versus something faster is the specs of this board. The board only runs a 2133. And that's what you have to look into when you're buying a board. You need to look at all the specs. Because if you just go buy RAM that you like and that you want to install, and then you get it on the board, it's not going to boot. So it's got to be compatible. Some boards will allow multiple different RAMs, and in this case, it only allows one. So you have to go with what it allows. The cooling for this, because it's not a gaming machine, is just a standard aluminum heatsink with a fan made by Intel for the 1151 sockets. Their OS is going to go on this SP brand 240 gigabyte solid state. To power everything, because the harness is minimal, I had to purchase 2 splitter cables for the SATA power. The harness only has 2, and that would feed a single hard drive and the disk drive that's in it. And by adding the expansion bay, multi-card reader, and USB ports, I've got to have several extra connections. One being a Molex power, a SATA power. It's got to have a SATA 3 data connection. It's got to have 2 USB 2 connections and the 20-pin USB 3.1 connection. All that has got to be plugged in on this board to power the peripherals that are being installed for this customer. So these splitters had to be purchased to keep from replacing that perfectly good power supply. So for now, we're going to set this aside and prepare for the reassembly. One important step is to bond off. So what I have is an anti-static mat. I bond off to it to the case. I also have my wristband that I bond to the case. Everything's good to go. The board comes with the I/O plate. Goes in from the inside. Is now set into the machine, the case. Again, we're installing the 6th gen Intel Core i5 4-core processor. Here is our CPU. You don't want to touch the back plate too much. It'll affect how well the thermal paste works. And you definitely don't want to touch the contacts. There is an arrow on one corner. And with these Skylakes, you also have notches. It's very hard to misalign these. Take this, you leave the plastic protector on it, because as you close it, it's going to pop that off. Now it's safe to remove this. It's about a pea-size amount. We basically line this up into the holes without touching the paste just yet. And then once you do that, seat it to the processor. Hold it as still as possible. Click them in a diagonal pattern. Once you hear all 4 snaps, you're installed. Mount the CPU fan plug with the CPU and the fan installed completely. You do have a slot 1 and 2. This board is designed to run a pair. You need to purchase these in a pair together, not separately. There's the installed RAM. Here's our 2 SATA powers that need to be expanded. There's that one. Alright folks, so to recap, I've taken a 10-year-old HP micro tower machine that had the blue screen of death. It had failed. It could not reinstall Windows. Ultimately determined that it had a burnt onboard processor and the CPU was failing as well. I got this completed for around $480. So it is budget friendly. It is doable by the average person. I recommend anybody giving this a try. And if you want to attempt this, feel free to ask me as many questions as you like. I will respond. So if you like the video, give me the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And share the video. Get the word out there. And I am available for remote sessions for my subscribers. If you're a new subscriber and you're having any PC issues, I can remote in. I can assist you at no charge. It is a service that I offer my subscribers. Pull up any of my PC related videos and send me a message with a concern or problem you're having, and we'll be in touch. So my name is Kevin, MyGame595 Studios and No Money Productions. Thanks for watching the video.